Today, my son, the entire heaven bows down to you. It's not a metaphor. It's a real act in the spiritual world. The angels have received orders. The trumpets of change have already sounded, and my voice breaks the silence of your waiting. You have lived days when your soul felt heavy, when prayers seemed to get lost in nothingness, when faith felt like a thin thread held between your tired fingers. But that thread was enough to connect your heart with the eternal throne. Today, that thread becomes a rope of glory. Heaven could no longer bear to see you enduring without a response. That's why my decree descends like lightning. The door that was denied to you falls today, my son. The tears you shed in solitude did not evaporate into thin air. Each one was collected by angels and stored in my cup of justice. Every prayer you uttered with a trembling voice was an invisible hammer striking the walls that blocked you. Today, you will hear the sound of those walls yielding, like a celestial echo announcing, "The time of confinement is over." I speak to you not from a distance, but from within you, for I have dwelled in your every breath, in every failed attempt, in every dawn when you whispered, "Lord, you are still with me." And my answer today resonates like thunder. I never left. When you thought rejection was abandonment, I was repositioning you for fulfillment. When you believed it was the end, I was rewriting the beginning of your purpose. It was not punishment. It was strategy. It was not loss, but preservation. And now heaven opens its book over you, and the angel of restitution reads your name aloud. My son, listen carefully. What was denied to you by injustice will be returned to you by decree. What seemed closed for years will open effortlessly. The wind of my spirit blows over invisible locks, and iron gates fall before my fire. Those who pointed at you will see my power raise you up without explanation. Those who blocked your paths will witness the favor that escorts you. Today, you do not come to knock on doors. You come to pass through gates. You come not with weariness, but with authority. You come not begging for entry, but carrying inheritance. Because the voice of the Father has spoken. And when I speak, neither doubt nor man nor the enemy can resist. Listen to this deeply. The entire universe aligns when a sun rises in obedience. The stars listen, times bend, circumstances rearrange themselves. And today, my son, everything is aligning in your favor. It was no coincidence that you arrived here. This moment was written before time existed. Every second of pain, every loss, every silence, everything brought you to this word. And this word is not a promise. It is fulfillment. Today, heaven declares, enough with the waiting, enough with closed doors, enough with tears. The cycle of stagnation ends and your season of conquest begins. My son, lift your gaze, because as you read this, heaven is already moving. Your name is being pronounced in places of decision. Your steps are being guided toward new paths. And your spirit, which for so long walked among ruins, now walks on foundations of glory. This is the day heaven breaks protocol for you. Doors open, chains fall, and the Father says with a voice of fire, "My son, enter." The waiting is over. The blessing that was denied to you now finds you. Declare with faith, "Today heaven bows over me." The door has fallen, because as you declare it, my voice activates within you, and the angels begin their march. The movement has already begun. My son, I want you to hear this truth like fire engraving itself in your soul. What you called rejection, I call rescue. What you interpreted as abandonment was my hand diverting a blow you would have received unknowingly. That door that closed in front of you was not a curse. It was my invisible shield, interposing itself between your heart and the wound that would have destroyed your purpose. Do you remember that day you said, "Lord, why wasn't I chosen? Why was I left out?" I was there, my son. I watched you as your tears fell, and each one of them was an act of obedience without you even knowing it. Because while you cried, believing you had been discarded, I was protecting you from disaster, from a trap disguised as an opportunity, from a snare that would have bound you to what was not meant for you. Rejection did not destroy you. It preserved you. And though you didn't understand it then, every no you heard was a yes from heaven to your survival. Not everything that shines is a promise. There are paths that seem right, but lead to ruin. That's why when I closed those doors, it was not cruelty. It was love in the form of denial. Many turned their backs on you because they could no longer accompany you where I was leading you. Do not curse them. Give thanks, for they were temporary instruments in an eternal work. They held you at a level you had already surpassed. And if you had remained connected to them, you would have hindered the progress of your spirit. Look back with new eyes. How many times did you think you lost something irreplaceable? And yet time revealed that it was your greatest liberation. There were friendships that departed, and it hurt you. But if they had stayed, they would have contaminated your faith. There were jobs that didn't materialize, but if they had, you would have abandoned your calling. There were doors that didn't open, and thanks to that, your soul continued to breathe. I didn't deny you opportunities. I denied you dangers disguised as opportunities. Because the enemy also knows how to open doors. But behind his, there is always loss, confusion, and bondage. That's why I allowed some to close forcefully, even though your prayers pounded heaven, asking for the opposite. I didn't ignore your pleas. I redirected them toward what saves you. You thought, why, Lord, can't I move forward? And I answered you in silence, because I'm pushing you toward a higher path. One that doesn't open with human keys, but with faith and obedience. Every time someone rejected you, I whispered into the ear of your spirit, don't cry, my son. I'm just separating you. Separating you from the pain that kept repeating, from the cycle that drained you, from the people who talked with you but didn't believe in you, from the places that had a roof but no growth. I set you apart from the noise to reveal my voice to you. Rejection was the scalpel that removed your dependence on human applause. I made you invisible to many, not to punish you, but to prepare you in secret. I hid you from the world while I rebuilt your heart. And though you believed no one saw you, I watched you every step of the way, strengthening the roots of your faith underground, so that when I exposed you again, no one could uproot you. My son, I saw how you strived to fit in, how you wanted to please, to prove yourself, to insist. And when all of that failed, you believed you weren't enough. But in that human failure, you discovered my divine sufficiency. That was the purpose of rejection, that you would stop seeking acceptance and start seeking presence. I don't need multitudes applauding your calling. I only need your willing heart. Because when the whole world tells you no, my voice rises with authority and says, this is my beloved son, in whom I am well pleased. Look at me, my son. What rejected you was not greater than what awaits you. What you lost does not define your destiny. That door that was slammed in your face was the wall that separated you from danger. And now that the time has come, I myself tear it down from the inside out to show you that rejection was the first miracle in disguise. Therefore, do not look at the past with resentment. Give thanks for the denials. Bless the names that walked away. Forgive those who did not believe in you, because unknowingly they were part of the process that led you to your protection. And today, as you read these words, heaven whispers over you. Now you understand why you wept so much. Now you see why I didn't let you in. I didn't close a door on you. I opened eternity to you. My son, rejection didn't kill you because I intervened. I was the no that saved your life, and now with that same power, I am the yes that launches you toward your purpose. Declare with faith, thank you, Lord, for every door you closed on me. Today, I understand that you guarded my life. My son, pay attention, because today I speak not with future promises, but with present authority. From my throne, a decree is issued, and this decree bears your name engraved in celestial fire. It is the command that breaks the seals of confinement, that tears down the invisible walls that surrounded you, and that opens paths where no trails existed. It is not a symbolic announcement. It is a real movement in the heavens that descends upon your story. I, the Lord of hosts, decree every wall raised to stop you will be torn down by my voice. Every spiritual, emotional, or material lock that blocked your progress disintegrates right now. Every door that the enemy closed with chains of fear, failure, or unbelief opens by divine command. This is not a time to ask for permission. It is a time to walk under decree. I do not send you to knock on doors. I send you to pass through them. Because when I decree, angels rush, circumstances align, resistances dissolve, and what was once impossible becomes inevitable. My son, when my voice thunders, the universe obeys. What men sealed with bureaucracy, with contempt or with doubt, I revoke with a single word, open. And when I say open, neither time nor man nor hell can oppose it. Because my word does not request permission. My word executes. I don't open small doors, my son. I tear down gates. I tear down the structures that the enemy raised to make you believe you were limited. I tear down the walls of fear that you yourself built with thoughts of failure. I tear down the prison of doubt, the I can't wall, the fence of words others planted in you to break your faith. Nothing will remain standing where my decree has been pronounced. Listen, there are doors that resisted your efforts for years because they were not meant to open with your hands, but with my breath. You pushed with force, and I watched you, waiting for the exact moment when your strength would be exhausted, so you would understand that it is not by might nor by power, but by my spirit. Today is that moment. I have seen your tears. I have counted your nights. I have weighed your struggles. And from the place where the eternal fire never extinguishes, I declare that your effort transforms into harvest. The door that would not yield to human effort falls before the divine voice. As you read this, a spiritual tremor is occurring. It's not your imagination. It's my presence tearing down structures. What was stagnant begins to move. Documents that seemed forgotten return to the table. People who resisted feel impulses without knowing why. Stalled projects resurrect. Closed paths open with a wind of favor. This is how my decree acts. It doesn't ask for permission. It commands fulfillment. And listen to something deeper. When I tear down, I do not destroy randomly. I tear down what held you back, but I preserve what sustains you. Everything that falls around you in the coming days, do not lament it, my son, because they are not losses. They are walls collapsing. If someone leaves, if something breaks, if a structure collapses, do not fear. It is a sign that my decree has already begun to operate. This is heaven's decree over your life. Ancient gates that guarded your inheritance are opening. Chains that bound your purpose are being destroyed. Dark covenants made against your name are disintegrating. Your path before you is being cleared, and what was once blocked now flows with grace and speed. I don't open a door just to open it, my son. I open entire seasons. When I tear down a wall, I not only clear your path, I also unleash your voice. Therefore, from today onward, your words will carry weight. Every amen will come from your mouth like a command in the spiritual world. Every I believe will be fire ignited in the heavens. Every thank you will be a key to new blessings. My son, my decree does not fail. When I speak, angels march. When I command, obstacles tremble. When I whisper your name, the earth responds. Therefore, do not fear what you do not yet see, because the invisible is already obeying my voice. Listen to this divine secret. The enemy does not fear your weak prayer. He fears my decree pronounced in your favor, and today the entire heaven repeats your name aloud. My word envelops you like a sword. My fire opens the way, and my spirit goes before you, paving every step. My son, you are no longer the one who asks. You are the one who inherits. Do not struggle with the door any longer. Look at me, because while you were looking at the wall, I had already signed the decree for its demolition. While you wept before the silence, I had already blown on the locks. And now you will hear them yield one by one, until everything that was closed to you opens effortlessly. This is the eternal decree. By heaven's command, doors open, walls fall, locks break, and the grace of God advances without obstacles. What was once denied is now granted. What was once closed now opens by divine decree. My son, receive it, not with fear, but with reverence. Not with anxiety, but with certainty. Because when heaven decrees, the earth obeys. Declare with power, I receive the decree of God. The door that was denied to me falls now. The wall crumbles, the path opens, and my life aligns with divine will. As you say it, angels seal your name in the book of fulfillment. There is no turning back. The decree is signed. The demolition has begun, and the opening is irreversible. My son, before opening cities to you, I want to open your heart, because no external gate will sustain you if you remain walled up inside. What stopped you was not the giant outside. It was the wall inside, bricks of fear, guilt, resentment, self-sabotage. A cement made of lies that you accepted as truths. A fence shaped by words others spoke to you, and you repeated them in silence. Listen to me, that wall was not built in a day. It was raised with every comparison that stole your peace, with every "you can't" that you housed in your memory, with every wound you preferred to hide to appear strong, with every time I forgave you, but you didn't forgive yourself, with every promise I gave you, which you put on hold because you felt unworthy. Today, I enter the deepest chamber of your soul with my light. I do not come to reproach you. I come to break chains, because I do not open paths for slaves, but for children. And a free child does not negotiate his identity with the past. Look at the wall. Look at it without fear. Observe its bricks and name them. This is the brick of shame. It made you believe that your story defines you. This is the brick of guilt. It made you pay debts that my blood already cancelled. This is the brick of resentment. It tied you to those who hurt you, as if their hand still governed your present. This is the brick of fear of failure. It paralyzed you so you wouldn't suffer again. This is the brick of self-sufficiency. It told you everything depends on you, and it left you exhausted. And here is the most deceptive brick, the lie that you are not loved. I place my hand on each brick and declare, this is not your identity. This is not your destiny. This has no legal right to remain. The enemy built with accusations, but I destroy with truth. Where he said late, I say now. Where he said never, I decree always. Where he said you are not, I seal my beloved Son in whom I am well pleased. Son, do not fight with your shadows. Turn on the light. Light does not argue with darkness. It displaces it. My light enters today through cracks you didn't know existed. The crack of your honesty when you finally said, Lord, it hurts here. The crack of your surrender, when you accepted that you couldn't do it alone. The crack of your praise in the valley, when you sang without having answers. This is how an inner wall falls. Not with shouts of pride, but with truth, forgiveness, and worship. Truth melts lies. Forgiveness cuts the umbilical cord with trauma. Worship changes the inner climate. Where there was once judgment, now there is presence. Hammers of the Spirit, apply them now. Spoken truth, say aloud with your name, I am a beloved child of God. I am not my mistakes. My past is redeemed. My present is guided. My future is secured. What God has forgiven, I no longer condemn. Deliberate forgiveness. Mention in your heart whoever hurt you and say, in the name of Jesus, I forgive you and I release you. I renounce being your prisoner. Now say your own name and repeat, I forgive myself for not knowing, for falling, for taking too long. I rise again. Legal renunciation. Cancel the emotional covenants you unknowingly made. I renounce the agreement with fear, scarcity, and rejection. I break every word spoken against me. I declare null every label that does not come from heaven. Praise that opens the chest. Raise your hands. Even if you are alone, say, I adore you in my process. I adore you in my brokenness. I adore you in my restitution. Praise is not music. It is jurisdiction. It changes the inner territory. Consecrated breathing. Inhale deeply and say, Abba. Exhale and say, Ephphatha, open. Do it 7 times. With each exhalation, a brick falls. What you will hear when the wall yields, you won't hear explosions. You will hear rest. A peace that doesn't explain but legitimizes. You will feel your chest expand, that your mind, once tangled, finds a simple phrase, I am with you. That phrase is my signature upon your inner being. Be attentive to heaven's substitutions. Where there was shame, dignity comes. Where there was guilt, absolution comes. Where there was resentment, compassion without naivety comes. Where there was fear, gentle determination comes. Where there was self-sufficiency, joyful dependence on my spirit comes. I tell you a mystery. The inner wall was the last lock. Satan couldn't hold external doors without your inner agreement. Today I withdraw your agreement with lies. Today you seal a covenant with my truth. Today the fortress falls, and the city of your soul belongs to me in peace. Do not fear if some memories return after this. It is not a setback. It is debris moving. Do not rebuild what I tore down. Do not hang old pictures on new walls again. Renew your mind with my word. Stand guard with gratitude. Hold the door with brief and constant prayer. Prophetic act from silence to sound. Now place your hand over your heart and declare slowly 3 times. Jesus is the Lord of my thoughts, emotions, and decisions. Then say, today I decree, my inner being aligns. My soul cooperates, my spirit leads. And finally, Ephphatha over my heart, Ephphatha over my mind, Ephphatha over my history. My son, I already hear the cracking. The fissures widen, the cement yields, the nails pop, the inner wall falls, and with it, the floodgates you awaited outside are unleashed. Because my command within you is the master key to every opening. Declare with faith and write if you can. Today the inner wall fell. I'm free to advance through what God has opened. My son, listen carefully, because what I am about to reveal to you has nothing to do with human time, but with heaven's time. Humans measure days by the sun and the calendar. I measure them by the maturity of your soul and the obedience of your spirit. The time you call waiting, I call preparation. And when preparation is complete, heaven's clock marks a unique word, Kairos, the exact moment where the eternal invades the terrestrial. Today, you have entered your Kairos, not because you deserve it, but because you are ready. Ready doesn't mean perfect. It means your roots can now sustain what would have once crushed your branches. It means that your faith grew strong in silence, that your heart has learned to depend on me more than on circumstances, and that your character was refined in the crucible of waiting. Therefore, my son, the time of painful sowing is over. Now I begin the time of divine acceleration. In Kairos, processes are shortened. Things that used to take you years will now happen in days. What seemed impossible will begin to flow naturally. Delays will turn into pushes. The not yets will transform into now yes. It's not luck. It's celestial synchronicity. Heaven and earth are aligned with you. Listen, my son. When I accelerate, I don't skip stages for you. I condense miracles for you. What others experience in 10 years, you will experience in months, because every tear sown during your nights of faith shortened the distance. Your pain was an investment. Your faithfulness was a motor. Your silence was an offering, and your perseverance was fuel for this acceleration. Do you remember when you said, it seems everything is stalled? It wasn't stalled. It was being compressed. It was a spiritual spring accumulating energy. And now, my son, that spring is released with explosive power. Prepare yourself, because the speed with which what was promised will manifest will surpass your human logic. You will see how doors open one after another, how times are shortened, how connections arrive in perfect sequence, not because you run, but because my favor pushes you. I want you to understand this deeply. My Kairos does not obey the human clock. It doesn't depend on years, nor calendars, nor schedules. It depends on the heartbeat of heaven that says now. When that heartbeat synchronizes with your spirit, the entire universe reacts as if a military order has been given. Angels move, hearts soften, opportunities rise from the rubble, and what seemed dead resurrects at the sound of my voice. My son, do not fear the speed with which you will see changes. Sometimes when Kairos arrives, things move so fast that the soul trembles. People move away, places transform, projects reconfigure. But it is not chaos. It is rearrangement. I'm repositioning pieces, clearing the board, opening space for the new. Nothing that diminishes you will remain standing. Everything that stays by your side in this acceleration will be part of your destiny. To accelerate is not to run, it is to flow. When I blow upon your steps, you do not need to strive to advance. My wind propels you. My spirit carries you. You will see how you enter places without having planned them, how your words reach ears that once ignored you, how what seemed closed opens by itself, because my favor doesn't need to push doors. It makes them disappear. I shall reveal a spiritual secret to you. Kairos is not announced with trumpets. It is felt in the soul. It manifests in small flashes, a conversation that arrives at the exact moment, a thought that becomes an answer, an inner impulse you know is not yours. It is heaven guiding you step by step. Therefore, do not resist it. Let yourself be carried by the divine current. The current doesn't drag you down. It lifts you up. If you move with obedience, the wind of the Spirit carries you directly to fulfillment. But if you try to control the flow with your logic, you will feel turbulence. That's why I tell you, release, trust, flow. You are no longer at the waiting station. You are on the highway of promise. While men say it will delay, heaven says it has arrived. While the world still plans, I already execute. Because my Kairos doesn't wait for human approval. I accelerate by mercy, by covenant, by purpose. And you, my son, are part of that purpose. Do not fear if you don't understand how. Just remain in my presence, because in the right presence, time multiplies. I can do in an hour what you couldn't achieve in a decade. I can restore relationships in a day, cancel debts in a night, open paths in seconds, because my power doesn't need time, only space to manifest. And today, you have opened that space for me. Therefore, as you speak, the pieces begin to fit together. There are clocks that stop in the spiritual world so that you can achieve what was promised to you. And there are others that accelerate because what was withheld can no longer wait. My son, listen to my decree. The acceleration has begun. The time of maybes is over. The days of uncertainty have been replaced by days of fulfillment. You will no longer look at the clock with anxiety. Now every hour will count miracles. Every sunrise will bring movement. Every night will be a prelude to expansion. And as everything advances, remember this. My acceleration is not to exhaust you, but to surprise you. Not for you to prove yourself, but for you to testify. Not for you to compete, but for you to inspire. Because when I accelerate, I not only promote you, I exhibit you as a living sign that my faithfulness does not arrive late. My son, lift your gaze. The sun didn't rise earlier today, but its light shines stronger on you. Not because heaven changed, but because your season changed. You have entered the Kairos zone, and in this zone, miracles become normal. Declare with faith, I enter my divine Kairos. Time's aligned with me. The waiting ends. My pace quickens, my destiny manifests, and nothing will be able to stop the fulfillment that God decreed over my life. As you pronounce it, the sands of time change rhythm, and the sound you hear in your spirit is not imagination. It is the march of heaven advancing in your favor. My son, the time of multiplied return has come, the time when my justice manifests, not just returning but magnifying. Because I do not return the same. I restore with divine interest. Man can compensate for a loss with material things, but I restore the visible and the invisible. What the eye didn't see and the heart forgot it needed to heal. For years, the enemy made you believe that the damage was irreversible, that what was stolen could no longer be recovered, that lost opportunities had expired, that years without fruit had been wasted time. But today I break that lie like a veil falling to the ground, because I am the God of redeemed time, the one who recovers what man calls impossible, the one who makes dry fields bloom, the one who rebuilds torn down walls with celestial gold. My son, listen to my promise. You will not only recover, you will superabound. You will not only have again, you will return transformed. I will not return the same to you, because the same would no longer be enough for who you have become. Your process made you different, and my justice will deliver something the same size as your pain, but in glory. Remember the tears that fell on your pillow, the nights when your heart weighed more than your body, the prayers that came out without words, only in sighs. Each of them was an investment in my heavenly bank. And in my kingdom, tears are not lost. They multiply. Those that fell on the earth now rise as a harvest. Where there was loss, there will be double honor. Where there was humiliation, there will be promotion. Where there was silence, there will be proclamation. Do not fear if you do not immediately recognize the beginning of the miracle. Divine restitution does not always begin with material abundance. First, I restore the soul, because I want what I give you not to be lost again. First, I close your wounds so that you do not bleed within the blessing. First, I cleanse your heart so that when I give you the fruit, you do not contaminate it with resentment. First, I restore your faith, because healthy faith is the fertile ground for multiplication. And when my justice activates my son, no injustice remains unpunished. No loss remains unanswered. Nothing that hell stole remains out of my hands, because I do not forget your battles. Every time you resisted without vengeance, every time you chose to pray instead of curse, every time you blessed those who hurt you, I noted it as celestial credit, and today I activate those accumulated interests. Yes, my son, my restitution has interest. The years of solitude return to you companionship with purpose. The seasons of scarcity return to you provision with abundance. The betrayals return to you true connections. The rejections return to you divine acceptance. The closed doors return to you gates of eternal access. Nothing was lost. Even what you believed was ruined, I took it in my hands and transfigured it. Pain became a foundation, failure a lesson, the fall a testimony. Nothing escaped my design, my son, not even what others did to hurt you. They believed they were destroying you, but unknowingly they were participating in your promotion. Listen, when my justice acts, I not only restore, I superabound. If they took one from you, I give you 7. If you lost a stage, I return generations of purpose to you. If they humiliated you before many, I exalt you before the same witnesses. Not to feed your pride, but for my glory to be evident in your story. I do not return to you in the same coin. I return to you in eternity. My interest is not measured in numbers. It is measured in transformation. Therefore, my son, do not just expect to recover. Expect to be reborn, because divine restitution does not restore. It recreates. I do not remake your ruins. I make new creation upon them. My son, the hands that took from you will not be able to stop the hands that will return to you. I've sent angels, administrators of promises, who are releasing stalled opportunities, prepared relationships, stored resources. The doors that were closed are unlocked with the code of your faith, and the names that once denied you will now be channels of blessing without understanding why. Look back and say with gratitude, Lord, everything I lost was the price for the place I stand today. Because without that loss, you wouldn't have received your position. Without that emptiness, you wouldn't have learned fullness. Without that rejection, you wouldn't have known your true identity. I restore without limit, because I do not measure your future by your mistakes, but by your obedience after them. Therefore I declare, whoever sowed with tears will reap with joy. Whoever endured the night will dance in the morning. Whoever believed in silence will be rewarded in public. Prepare yourself, my son, because your restitution will not be discreet. My glory will cover you in such a way that those who knew you in the valley will not be able to understand how you rose. And you will say, it was God, only God. I will return even the years to you, not just things, not just opportunities, the years that the enemy devoured with anguish, sickness, injustice, or waiting. I redeem them in a single act, because my power can do in one day what the world cannot in a decade. Thus says the Lord, what you lost in winter, you will gather in summer, multiplied 7-fold. My son, my justice does not forget. I did not leave you without an answer. I was only accumulating interest. And this is the moment when heaven pays eternal dividends. Your faithfulness in secret becomes public reward. Your seed of obedience becomes a harvest of abundance. Your sustained pain becomes a prophetic impulse. When you feel the movement, do not resist it. When everything begins to return to you, do not fear to receive. Do not believe you don't deserve it, because you didn't obtain it by merit but by grace. I decided to return it to you, and what heaven decides, no one can reverse. My son, this is the decree. The Lord restores all that was lost to me, but with divine interest. Shame transforms into honor, scarcity into provision, weeping into laughter, and loss into legacy. Do not look any longer at what was stolen from you. Look at what is arriving, because what is coming does not compare to what is gone. Your table is served again. Your cup overflows again. Your story once again writes victory, and your name is once again pronounced in the heavens. Declare with faith, my son, my restitution has arrived. God returns to me with divine interest. Nothing was lost. Everything multiplied. What was taken from me returns transformed. My life is a testimony of God's justice. As you proclaim it, angels activate ancient records of unfulfilled promises. Seals break, doors open, and heaven releases upon you a wave of restitution so powerful that your tears of yesterday will become the river of your abundance. My son, my silence was never indifference. It was my highest classroom. When I was silent, I didn't distance myself. I arranged the universe around your process so that my voice would form roots, and not just an echo. I knew that quick answers build expectations, but answers in silence build character. That's why I taught you to hear what doesn't sound, the pulse of my will in the midst of your nights, the heartbeat of my faithfulness when everything seemed stalled. Listen to me calmly. The enemy called abandonment what was loving discipline. He whispered to you, he doesn't listen to you, while I strengthened your inner ear. Because silence, my son, is not emptiness, it is bandwidth. I quieted noises to broaden your spiritual frequency, and so that you would distinguish my whisper from any strange voice. What I did for you while you believed nothing was happening, I adjusted times, moved invisible pieces so that the promise wouldn't arrive prematurely. I shielded your heart. I closed access points where discouragement, comparison, and anxiety used to enter. I purified your motivation. I separated desire from purpose, impulse from obedience, haste from precision. I refined your identity. I removed labels from the past so that you wouldn't use blessing as a prosthesis, but as stewardship. While you asked for a yes, I taught you to sustain the yes. While you wanted rhythm, I gave you roots, because without roots, the rain tears down. With roots, the rain multiplies. The alphabet of silence, what you learned without realizing it. To wait without negotiating your faith. You discovered that faith is not noise. It is position. To pray without sensation. You understood that I am not a climate. I am a covenant. To serve without applause. Your obedience stopped being a stage and became an altar. To bless without explanation. When you saw nothing, you blessed anyway. And that disarmed the accuser's legal claims. To discern without anxiety, you began to choose by peace, not by pressure. Silence sharpened your discernment. It taught you to distinguish my peace from comfort, my impulse from urgency, my voice from your desire. How is faith trained in my silence? I removed your crutches, others' opinions, borrowed approvals, human prognoses. I showed you cracks, not to shame you, but to seal them with truth. I made you small before yourself to make you great within. I taught you to persist when emotion wanes, because love is decision long before it is sensation. My son, the faith that survives, my silences governs my manifestations. Whoever doesn't disarm in the night manages the day. 7 hammers for the nothing is happening wall. Remember, God is already where I will arrive. Repeat, the absence of signs is not the absence of God. Breathe, inhale, Abba, exhale, Shalom, 7 times. Relocate. When your mind races, return to the promise, not to the prognosis. Renounce. I break agreement with haste, comparison, and drama. Replace. For every thought of fear, declare 3 truths from my word. Rest. Rest is not passivity. It is active trust. Signs that the training reached its goal. Peace arrives first, and the fact comes later. Obedience stops asking for guarantees. Gratitude appears without visible reason. Your yes weighs more than others' no. You pray less for why and more for what for, then you know it. The classroom is over, not because I speak louder, but because you can now hear deeper. What was forged in you during silence? Identity. You stopped seeking value in results. Resilience. Your spirit learned to return to the center after every shake. Intimacy. My presence became home, not an event. Authority. Now your words carry weight, not volume. My son, silence was the workshop where I forged your sword. You preferred to believe before understanding, and that gave me jurisdiction to accelerate. Prophetic act from silence to sound. Place your hands over your ears and say 3 times, "In the name of Jesus, my inner ear sharpens." Place your hand on your chest and declare, "My heart guards the peace that surpasses my understanding." Extend your hand forward and proclaim, "I walk by word, not by climate. I advance by covenant, not by haste." Remain in conscious stillness for 1 minute. Do not expect an emotion. Expect a certainty. If a word softly repeats within you, trust, advance, Ephatha. That is my signature, what comes after the silence. When the training ends, I do not return with crumbs. I come with clear paths, aligned opportunities and grace to sustain them. You will be surprised by the naturalness with which everything flows, because what once required effort now responds favorably. Do not fear if some things suddenly fall away. It is not loss, it is eviction. I'm emptying inner rooms to house expansion. Truths that annul anxiety. Repeat them in the first person. God does not delay, He prepares me. The promise does not depend on my pace, but on His governance. If I kept faith in the night, I will be able to keep glory in the day. I don't need to feel to know. I need to believe to see. My silence was not a desert. It was a seedbed. Sealed prayer. Pray aloud. Father, thank you for your silence that educated me. I renounce calling your pedagogy abandonment. I receive the peace that governs my decisions. May your whisper be worth more than any roar. I make a covenant with obedience, not with haste. I declare Ephatha over my ear, my mind, and my path. Amen. Final decree. Thus says the Lord, your faith was tempered in my silence, and now it will sustain my answer. Where I was silent, now I march. Where you waited, now I accelerate. Where you doubted, now I establish. You have learned to listen to the language of heaven, and that is why you are ready to administer the noise of blessing. Declare and write if you can, my faith was trained in silence. Today, I walk without anxiety, with an open ear and a firm step. The invisible has already moved. Now the visible reaches me. My son, listen carefully, because what you are about to understand will change the way you speak, and therefore, the way you live. Even before you existed, I placed power in your voice. Not the voice of the world's noise, but yours, the one I formed with divine intention. Your voice was not created only to communicate, but to decree. It was not designed to react, but to create. The enemy has always tried to silence you because he knows something many forget. A son who speaks with faith is more dangerous than an entire army. Your voice has the timbre of the Creator because it was made in His image. When you speak with conviction, heaven recognizes its own sound. Your voice is not simple air in motion. It is a spiritual seal, a sign that angels understand, a frequency that heaven translates as authority. There is creative power in your words. Just as I said, let there be light. And there was light. When you say, my path opens, dimensions respond. The voice of faith does not describe reality. It transforms it. I gave you the right to use your voice as a key to heaven, a key that opens gates, unleashes promises, releases destinies. The enemy knows this. That's why he tries to make you speak from fear, from complaint, or from weariness, because every word of doubt becomes an order contrary to your purpose. But when you speak from faith, your voice becomes a sword. It cuts, breaks, opens, cleanses. Your voice is not an echo, it is a command. When you speak under my spirit, your word carries my backing, and what you decree in faith is established on earth. It was not I who distanced myself when I was silent. It was I who returned the word to you. I wanted to hear your faith. I wanted to hear you declare what I had already promised you. When you pray with faith, heaven moves. When you speak my word, angels receive instructions. When you confess the promise, the spiritual universe adjusts to it. Therefore, I don't ask you to beg. I ask you to decree. Don't say why. Say because God said so. Don't repeat the problem. Prophesy the solution. Don't describe the darkness. Command the light. Your voice is not just an instrument. It is a key. The gates of heaven open at the sound of conviction. When you pronounce with authority what my spirit reveals to you, seals fall, walls tremble, and chains break. In the spiritual world, words are not lost. They travel, register, strike, open, and execute. Every time you speak with faith, your voice strikes invisible dimensions until the echo reaches the throne and the command is fulfilled. Faith needs to be spoken. It's not enough to believe in silence. Faith that is not declared falls asleep. Speak even if your voice trembles. Declare even if the outlook hasn't changed, because when your voice goes forth with faith, heaven recognizes it as a decree and the earth begins to move. Your prayer is not noise, it is construction. Your words are spiritual blueprints that later become matter. When you speak in my name, you are drawing the future according to my design. I reveal a secret to you. In your throat, I place the frequency of the beginning. When you speak in obedience, the sound you emit has the same power with which I created the heavens. That's why your voice cannot remain inactive. Do not use it to lament, but to decree, not to justify yourself, but to activate. Because your words do not just describe, they create. Your phrases do not just communicate, they govern. Now listen, when a sun rises and says, God said it and so it will be, heaven responds with movement. Angels march, walls open, winds change. The earth recognizes the authority of the Son who speaks with the voice of his Father. And though your voice may seem small, its echo resonates like thunder in the heavens. Use your voice with wisdom, not to dominate but to liberate, not to impose but to heal. Every word of yours must come out like a balm, like a sword, like a seed. The balm heals, the sword cuts what hinders, and the seed produces harvest. Speak with intention, because in the spiritual world, nothing you utter is lost. Every declaration of faith becomes a turned key, an opening door, an advancing destiny. Your voice will be a sign and testimony. What you decree with truth will begin to be fulfilled. What you confess with faith will manifest. Not by human power, but by divine backing. Use your voice as a tool of creation, as a bridge between the invisible and the visible. Speak not from emotion, but from certainty. Speak not from need, but from promise. Because the keys of heaven do not turn with force, but with conviction. From now on, your voice will not be an echo of doubt, but a trumpet of my power. You will not ask permission to speak my word, because I have already given it to you. You will not fear to declare what you do not yet see, because your word will go before you, opening the way. Your voice will no longer be a whisper of weariness, but a sound of victory. My son, your voice opens the heavens. What you decree in faith is established. What you say in my name is fulfilled. Do not forget it. Your voice is not human. It is celestial. It is a key, it is a code, it is a decree. When you speak in faith, heaven listens, the earth obeys, and darkness retreats. Speak, declare, proclaim, because every word of yours pronounced with faith becomes the key that opens the next door of your destiny. My son, listen carefully. There are doors I myself closed forever. I didn't do it out of whim, but out of love. Behind them, there was weariness, yokes that deformed your identity, and shortcuts that sold your soul for a bowl of lentil stew. That's why I tell you, do not touch them again. Not every closed door is a pause. Some are a sentence of liberation. If you push them again, you reopen wounds I already healed, and reactivate chains I already broke. I set you apart to protect you. If you return, you call the house of your captivity home. The shortcut door promises quickly what it destroys slowly. The approval door opens with flattery and closes with blackmail. The unequally yoked door demands you renounce what I have spoken to you. If to enter a place you must lie, hide, or dim the light I lit in you, that door is not mine. A door of mine will never make you less of a son, never ask less truth from you, and never leave you with less peace. Do not touch what made you sick again. Walk forward. I am before you at the threshold that truly belongs to you, my son. Confirmation is not noise that satisfies curiosity. It is direction that secures your step. I do not play with your hope. When I say now, I seal enough signs on your path so that anxiety does not govern you, but certainty does. Learn to recognize them. Not all shine, some whisper. Not all come from outside. Many are born from within. First, the peace that surpasses. It is not the peace of resolved circumstances, but the one that settles in your chest, even when the agenda doesn't change. That peace does not negotiate with fear. It discredits it. If when considering a step, your soul becomes still, even if you don't have all the answers, that stillness is my signature. Haste pushes you. My peace guides you. Second, the repeating word is not obsession. It is an echo. The same verse, a phrase in a conversation, a thought that returns with gentleness and authority. Confirmation by repetition does not shout. It insists with intelligent tenderness. If on different days and from different sources you hear the same calling, do not dismiss it. I'm speaking to you through convergence. Third, the alignment of doors. I do not open a single entrance for you to be confused among options. I align 2 or 3 accesses in sequence so that you enter with rhythm, not in jumps. You will see procedures advance without pushing. Key people appear without searching for them. Emails and calls arrive at the exact interval. External confirmation is rarely a theatrical blow. Rather, it is a fine fabric that fits with precision. Fourth, wise counsel in sync. Confirmation does not compete with prudence. It embraces it. When a mature voice, reverent to my word, gives you light coinciding with what I have already placed in your spirit, pay attention. I do not confirm destinies with flattery, nor with praises that inflate, but with counsel that honors truth, holiness, and mission. Fifth, initial fruit. Even in the beginning, there are signs that the seed falls on good ground. Rest in the heart, order in the mind, favor in small things. Do not wait for a complete harvest to validate the step, but do observe sprouts. If in the smallest things efficacy and order are already perceived, the direction is correct. Sixth, the closure of what no longer belongs. Confirmation not only opens, it also closes. Doors you couldn't close on your own shut without drama. Conversations that distracted you exhaust themselves. Invitations that diverted you lose their shine. It is not rejection towards you, it is redirection in your favor. Seventh, reasonable resistance. Do not confuse opposition with lack of confirmation. When a step is mine, sometimes the wind blows against it to strengthen your decision. Learn it. There is a difference between resistance that tests and chaos that discredits. Resistance tests your conviction without stealing your peace. Chaos drains you, confuses you, and contradicts my word. If there is opposition, but peace remains and initial fruit appears, continue. If there is disorder, manipulation, and your peace withdraws, stop. Eighth, time that aligns. I also confirm by synchronicity. Sometimes I delay an appointment to place you with the precise person. Sometimes I accelerate a process to free you from an improper alliance. When you notice that the clock doesn't betray you, but serves you, understand, I am governing the times. Ninth, the weight of the word in your mouth. When you declare what I have told you, you will feel effortless authority. Your phrases do not come from the need to convince, but from the certainty of obeying. Others will notice it. What you say brings sobriety, hope, loving correction, and focus. That gentle density is confirmation. 10th, the test of holiness. Nothing I confirm requires you to dilute your integrity. If to advance your conscience must be silenced, it is not of me. Confirmation always preserves your purity and makes you more of a son. Not more skillful, but truer. Not more strategic, but humbler. Not more arrogant. So that you are not deceived, I leave you with practical discernment. If the door promises speed but takes away your peace, do not cross it. If the voice you hear gives you privilege, but robs you of obedience, do not heed it. If the opportunity magnifies you before men, but diminishes you before me, do not accept it. If the counsel frees you from rendering accounts to me, it does not come from heaven. If the step asks for faith, but preserves your peace and honors my word, advance. How to walk when you begin to see signs. 1. Record. Note the repeating word, the date, the place, the circumstance. Written memory protects your discernment when weariness arrives. 2. Contrast. Pass everything through the filter of my word. Authentic confirmation never contradicts what I have already revealed. 3. Submit. Present your conclusion to a wise heart obedient to me. Pride is fertile ground for self-deception. 4. Practice small acts of obedience. Take brief and concrete steps. Confirmation is strengthened in humble practice. 5. Preserve peace. If you lose it, do not continue adding steps until you recover it. Peace is a compass, not an ornament. Internal signs that will guard your path. Mental order. Formally scattered thoughts find a simple and firm axis. Purified affection. You love without attachment. You bless without needing to look back. Hunger for my presence. Real confirmation increases your desire to pray. It does not reduce it. Sobriety, less grandiloquence, more truth. Less anxiety for results, more faithfulness to the process. Serene joy, not euphoria that rises and falls, but stable joy that makes you sing as you advance. External signs that I will confirm before your eyes. Reconciliations you didn't force, but which are now possible without negotiating the truth. Resources that arrive marked by opportunity and purpose, not by debt or pressure. New bridges with people of proven character, not alliances of convenience. Favor before those who once ignored you, without you losing meekness. Clean closures of cycles, without resentment or spectacle, with gratitude and honor. Do not confuse confirmation with spectacle. Sometimes I confirm with a whisper in the midst of your day, other times with a door that opens in public. In both cases, the seal is the same, my peace guarding your heart and my truth sustaining your steps. Now take this verification exercise, become silent, breathe, and honestly ask yourself before me, does this step make me more of a son or more of a performer? Does it bring me closer to obedience or to approval? Does peace sustain me or does urgency sustain me? Does it align me with the word or with the trend? If the answer returns you to peace, walk. If it returns you to attention and the negotiation of your conscience, wait. I also give you a warning out of love. Do not fabricate signs to justify your desire. The sign you build enslaves you. The sign I send liberates you. Do not test me to sustain whims. If you ask for confirmation, accept my yes and my no with the same reverence. To obey is higher than to be right. To obey allows me to correct your course without breaking you. Finally, listen to this decree over your path. From today, I will make confirmation clear for you. I will straighten what is crooked. I will silence the confusing noise. I will raise witnesses of my will and guard your step with peace. I will teach you to stop when my peace withdraws and to advance when my peace envelops you. I will make you sensitive to my convergences, brave in my resistances, and humble in my manifestations. Write in your spirit, peace is my traffic light, the word is my map, the fruit is my evidence, and obedience is my path. And remember, when I confirm, I do not make you invulnerable. I make you guided. I do not take away your faith. I focus it. I do not promise absence of wind. I promise full sails. Walk in this certainty, because the signs have already begun to light up before you. My son, the justice I prepare for you does not have the face of revenge. It has the face of restored truth. I do not humiliate. I correct. I do not destroy. I straighten. I do not return harm with harm. I restore balance with mercy. When I act publicly in favor of one of my children, I do so to feed not their ego, but to manifest my character before those who doubted my righteousness. Listen carefully. Revenge is a fire that consumes the one who kindles it. Justice, in contrast, is light that heals the one who receives it. That's why I forbade you revenge, not because I don't love you, but because I want you free from the poison of resentment. Whoever lives waiting to see another fall remains bound to the other's downfall. Whoever entrusts their cause to me sees my glory raise them up without contaminating their soul. I saw what they did to you. I saw every twisted word, every glance that weighed on you, every unjustly stolen opportunity. I did not overlook it. I recorded it in my book of causes, but I waited because my justice is not executed from impulse, but from purpose. Human justice relies on evidence. Mine rests on truth. I do not punish to teach a lesson. I act to restore the order of the kingdom. Many confused my patience with forgetfulness. They thought my silence was consent, but my silence was an opportunity for repentance. If they didn't take advantage of it, my hand will act without you having to lift a finger. It will not be a blow. It will be a readjustment. I myself will put the pieces in place. The truth will come to light without you having to defend yourself, my son. Stop looking at those who wronged you. I do not wish them ruin. I desire their conversion. My justice is not a spectacle for your pride. It is an act of love for your healing. When I open your cause before the eyes of men, I do so to demonstrate that there is no faithfulness without reward, nor injustice without response. But in my court the guilty also have a door of redemption. Do not seek to see those who hurt you pay. If my fire touches them, let it be to purify, not to destroy. If you see them broken, pray, do not celebrate. Because when you surrender the right to settle scores to me, you also authorize me to use your victory as a sermon of mercy. I have decreed public justice over your story. It means that the very people who saw your tears will see your restitution, not for them to be ashamed, but for them to know that faith was not in vain. I will not raise your name above others, but above the dust that tried to cover you. I will not exalt you to feed pride, but to testify to my faithfulness. The justice that is coming will surprise you by its form. It will not come as punishment for others, but as abundant grace upon you. When those who mocked your faith see you flourish without resentment, they will understand that there is a God who rewards with goodness and not with wrath. That will be the greatest argument against injustice, your unbreakable peace. Listen to this with humility. My justice not only cleanses your name, it purifies your intention. I do not want vindicated children. I want restored hearts. It's not enough for the world to see your innocence. I want you yourself to be free from the desire to be vindicated. Because when you still desire to prove something, your heart remains imprisoned by the wound. Let me be the one who speaks for you. Do not explain, do not defend yourself, do not compare. The mouths that lied will tire themselves out. The tongues that slandered you will encounter the evidence of the fruit. My justice does not respond with arguments, it responds with results. The noise fades when the work is done. There will be a moment, my son, when those who rose against you will need the same mercy they once denied you. When that day comes, do not close your hand, not because they deserve it, but because you have already been forgiven in abundance. That will be the proof that my justice fully reached you when you can bless without memory of the offense. Remember, revenge seeks for others to suffer what you suffered. Divine justice ensures that no one else suffers what you suffered again. That's why my justice does not stop with you. It passes through you and cleanses territories, families, generations. Where there was abuse, I will establish protection. Where there was slander, I will raise truth. Where there was theft, I will bring restitution. And you will be a witness, not a judge. I will show before many that I chose you when no one believed in you. But I want that when that day arrives, your face does not express pride, but gratitude. Because I will raise you up, not to humiliate others, but to show what I do with a heart that entrusts its wounds to me. Those who denied you a place will see that your position came from heaven. Those who pointed at you without knowing you will see that my love was your covering. They will tell you you won, but you will know that it was not a victory. It was an act of divine justice. You would win with vengeance. You will heal with justice. and healing is worth more than any triumph. My son, today I decree this word over you. You will no longer be judged by lies. You will not live under unjust suspicions. You will not bear others' guilt. My light will expose what is hidden, and what was crooked will be straightened without human effort. The weight of injustice now falls from your shoulders. My justice does not rush, but it arrives precisely. It is like the dawn. First, it illuminates the horizon, and then it fills the day. When it arrives, no one will be able to claim credit, because its clarity will be so evident that everyone will know only the Creator could have done it. Therefore, as you wait, do not contaminate your heart with a desire for vengeance. Whoever longs for another's downfall hinders their own ascent. Whoever wishes ill upon the one who hurt them does not understand the dimension of good I prepare. Whoever insists on returning in kind rejects heaven's currency. I, the just God, do not ignore the tears of the innocent. Every tear of yours was a seed of judgment, and every silence of yours was an argument in your favor. But I also have mercy on the one who erred. Therefore, when you see me act, you will see two things simultaneously: the restitution of the just and the opportunity of the guilty. Because my justice is not partial, it is perfect. Let history speak for you. The fruits will speak. The open doors will testify. The visible blessings will preach without you opening your mouth. And when they ask you how you achieved it, just say, "It was God." That answer will be more powerful than 1,000 defense speeches. My son, heaven has already reviewed your case. The balance is settled, and the verdict is pronounced. There will be no more defamation without response. There will be no more loss without restitution. There will be no more humiliation without purpose. My justice will raise you with dignity and cover you with honor. You will no longer be seen as a victim, but as a testimony. And while all this happens, guard your heart. Do not feel superior. Remember that you were rescued with the same compassion I now extend to your adversaries. Just as I lifted you from the dust, I can lift up the one who brought you down. This is how my justice acts. It does not erase names. It erases guilt. Son, what is coming upon you will not be vengeance. It will be vindication. It will not be punishment. It will be clarity. It will not be justified hatred. It will be proven love. And when you see the truth shine, you will know that my justice was sufficient. Then you will be able to say with a clean heart, "It was not my strength. It was his hand. It was not my word. It was his voice. It was not my vengeance. It was his justice." And that confession will be the sign that my work in you is complete. Walk without rancor. Wait without resentment. Because the justice that comes does not seek to wound, but to heal what the wound left.